Hello and welcome. By the time you're watching this, Chainsaw Man Part 2 probably has already started, and to celebrate that, my friend Kardiac K is organizing an event called One Unchained Moment, where every participant will make a video on one of their personal favorite moments of the first part of the series. And the moment that I want to talk about is probably one of the most well-known moments in the series, and because of that, probably one of the least understood by the people who come across it. I mean, Chainsaw Man has quickly become one of the most popular series in recent times, and it's especially amazing when we realize that we haven't even had the anime adaptation yet. But the popularity of this series is likely to be very similar to the rise in popularity of another series called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. JoJo got popular not necessarily just because of the quality of the manga and anime, but because of the ridiculous moments and gigantic amount of memes that came from it. A large part of its audience comes from people that have been subjected to meme after meme of the series before they even knew what the series it was. While I don't think Chainsaw Man is on the same level of popularity as JoJo just yet, we can definitely see the same thing happening. People finding about it from Kobeni's Dance Dance Revolution page, or Kobeni's restaurant trip, or Kobeni's car, just a lot of Kobeni. But also Power's ridiculous intro, that one meme edit that everyone shares, and how people react to Makima cosplays, as well as the absurd amount of fan art that goes around. Of course, there's also another moment that is shared and memed around whenever someone talks about Chainsaw Man and Denji. Even if you haven't read the manga, you probably have seen it. It's this one. It's a shot of our main character, Denji, proclaiming that he wants to touch some boobs. It's so ridiculous that some people may even think it's an edit, but also just ridiculous enough that people may think it's actually in the series, and it is. Volume 1, Chapter 4, page 124. That was blurry. Now, I'm not going to spend time explaining why this moment is funny or memeable. Look, if you don't find it funny without context, you're not going to find it funny with it. What I want to talk about in this video is how this moment is not just what it looks like at first value, and why it's actually a pretty important page, not just to understand the sadness of Denji, but to connect with some of the bigger themes in Chainsaw Man. Before we go though, spoiler alert for part 1, though mostly just volume 1 and 2. If you're not okay with spoilers, read the manga by yourself and then come back. I swear it's worth a read. Let's start by giving context to the moment itself. This is the first mission between Denji and Aki together, and at this point they're not really going along very well. Aki absolutely hates anything devil related, but to be fair, he hated Denji before he even knew what he was. Why? Well, for a very relevant reason. Aki believes that people that just join the public safety division for shallow reasons will be too weak to continue and will be the first to die. And Denji's reasons are, well, they are the definition of shallow, which, side note, I find this belief hilarious because you know who else has a very shallow reasons to be in the division? Kobeni. She straight up claims to be there just for the bonuses at one point. And if you read the manga, you'll understand why I find that funny. But going back to the topic, Denji's reasons to want to be in this division are pretty simple. They give him food and they treat him like a person, which that last part isn't even really that true. By chapter 3, when we get this exchange, Makima has already called Denji her pet and dog a bunch of times, but it's still a big improvement over what Denji had up to that point. And of course, because of that, he feels this connection both emotionally and sexually to the hot woman who's treating him nicely and wants to be around her. The fight he has with Aki does help to show that despite his goals being smaller, that does not mean in any way that he'll back down more easily. The fact is that Denji's life up to this point has been ruined so hard that just the concept of having food every day is like a dream, one that he will fight to the death to be able to stay in. Yet, this discussion is enough to spark some doubts into Denji. Up to this point, there's not really a big goal for him like there are for so many other shonen main characters. His dream is essentially realized by chapter 2. In his own words, he gets to wait every day, eat good food, and have a pretty girl around him. Denji has fulfilled his long life dream, but in the end, he still feels like something is missing. And that chase to find what's that something is one of the biggest journeys throughout Chainsaw Man, and it all starts here. Denji wants to find another dream to chase, one that will give him the drive to work hard and fight for his goals like all the others around him. But Denji doesn't really have anyone or anything he wants to protect, and unlike a Haki, he also doesn't have any devil that he wants to take revenge on. There's no reason for him to want the extermination of all devils, or of one in particular. Denji also isn't a natural born leader, and more importantly, he has no aspirations of becoming one. Unlike Luffy or Naruto, it's unlikely that Denji will aim for Makima's position, or a goal like being the best devil hunter around. So, what's left? Denji is someone who was broken and battered time and time again for all his life. He's been conditioned to think that a normal life is a life with nothing, so the highest he could dream is what he already got to this point. Well, kinda. There's still one thing he hasn't done, a thing that a 16-year-old kid right in the middle of puberty will very much be thinking about, especially with poor magazines right in front of him. Boobs. Surely boobs are a goal strong enough to keep him going, and throughout the next arc we see how much boobs are good enough to drive Denji, but there's more to this than just that. Denji doesn't realize it yet, but it's not boobs that he wants, at least not just boobs. And we get to see this when he eventually gets his dream to come true after helping Power. Power lets him touch her chest 3 times, and at the end of it, it doesn't feel as good as he thought it would. And honestly, that's kinda normal. I think people idealize sex and sexual ideas, especially in their teens, and if you spend too long thinking about how great that moment will be, eventually you'll be met with some disappointment when that moment eventually happens. But things are a little bit different when Makima lets him touch her chest. It feels special. Makima tells him that the reason why it feels better is because naughty things are better with someone you're familiar with. And yeah, that's true, but I think this is also the window to Denji's real dream that he doesn't realize yet. What Denji wanted is not just sex or boobs. The only other creature that cared for him is dead, and while Denji has always been lonely, we meet him at the loneliest he's been for a long time. What Denji wants and needs is love, and his journey to find love, both romantically and not, is one of my favorite journeys throughout Chainsaw Man. One that doesn't really have an happy ending in part 1, but one that I hope it does in the second part. We'll have to see. Regardless, that entire journey starts in this One Unchained Moment. And if you want to see me talk about more Chainsaw Man moments, I did another video for an event on one of the most devastating moments in manga. If you want to check that out, it's the video on the left, and if you watch this over here, thank you very much, and I'll see you next video.